Hello and welcome back. My name is Shelmo and this video is a little bit different. I'm actually not recording this commentary at the same time as recording the gameplay because I needed time to figure out how I was going to explain Roxas' side of the story because we weren't going to watch or play that game. So what I have running in the background while I'm doing this explanation is a couple of the boss fights I did. Unfortunately, the Ice Titan and the Phantom were not recorded due to technical difficulties. However, I did get most of the other boss fights for you guys to watch. Depending upon how long it takes me to explain all this will depend upon how long the video is. So, without further ado, Roxas' side of the game. So far, what we have is a character who is pretty much treated like a blank slate at the first part. He's kind of like a zombie, kind of parrots back at what everyone else says to him because he just really isn't all there at this stage. He's still a bit new as a nobody. And his name is Roxas. He is number 13 of the organization. We know that he's connected to Sora because we saw Sora's name in front of him get rearranged by a mysterious figure who we'll come back to later, and an X was added to the name as it was rearranged to make Roxas. So that's pretty much the first half of the week. He's kind of a blank slate following people around. In the second week we get introduced to another character, Xion. She's a mystery for a while, so we'll come back to her because she's not the main focus of the story at this point. In the end, Axel and Roxas team up for some missions, and afterwards they celebrate with some ice cream, which becomes a reoccurring theme throughout the whole game. At the end of the day, they'll meet at the top of the clock tower in Twilight Town and eat some ice cream while watching the sunset, regardless of whether they went on a mission together or separate. At this stage, Roxas is still having some memory issues. He doesn't remember that Axel was taken in for ice cream before, and is still parroting back a lot of what's said. Over the rest of the week, Roxas ends up learning about what a nobody is and what friends are, because they're pretty much treating him like a baby who doesn't know anything, and he's certainly acting like it. There is a small moment then when Axel and Roxas come to the conclusions that they obviously must be friends. During the third week, Axel has to leave. He tells Roxas that he's heading to Castle Oblivion for a mission. Since they're friends, he can tell him. We have an interesting moment when Roxas then gets a winner stick on the ice cream, but doesn't really have a clue what it means. This will become a meaningful item later. During Axel's absence to find the traitors at Castle Oblivion, Roxas finds himself working with Xion. She continues to stay hidden under her little jacket, so you don't really get a sense of what she looks like, just that she's light and female from the outline. Eventually she does speak and says Roxas' name, and is kind of a bit like Roxas was as a zombie, kind of parroting things back and not really saying much. When she does eventually reveal what she looks like Kairi with a colour sword. This will become more relevant later. Roxas ends up taking her up to the clock tower for some ice cream, and they begin forming their own friendship while Axel is away. There is a moment where some of the organization members mention they have no idea what's going on at Castle Oblivion, as they haven't heard from anyone, not even Axel, who they are confident is not dead, but at the same time they're confused why they haven't heard from him. However, this is really quickly taken away from Axel in terms of spotlight and possibly what's going on there, because Roxas faints. We see in his mind Xion, Axel and Naminé briefly show up, and then it cuts to Xemnas, who looks like Ansem as he's his nobody, and Sykes talking over a sleeping Roxas, saying that he'll get better as Sora gets stripped of his memories, which obviously links to where that we are in Chain of Memories at this stage. Obviously the process is starting where Sora's starting to lose some memories, and Roxas will get better the closer we get to the end of that game. Meanwhile, Shion has gained the use of the Keyblade and keeps bringing Roxas seashells from every mission she goes on while he's sleeping, and hopes he'll get better soon. He sleeps for a long time, 20 days. At this stage, we get a brief cutscene to Chain of Memories where we see Sora being put to sleep at the end of that game. And Kairi's voice telling Roxas to wake up, similar to what we've heard her say to Sora at the start of the first game. When Roxas does, he can't seem to find anyone. He checks all over the joint and then ends up going to the clock tower where Shion finds him later. Gives him a final seashell, which he then listens to for the sound of the waves, as we've all done as kids. And he kind of gets a vision of Sora and Kairi when he closes his eyes, but doesn't really say anything about it. Roxas then doesn't end up... Oh, hold on, I'm skipping in my notes. 1 moment, please. Axel then returns a few days later, and he goes to see Roxas before reporting in, which is just kind of highlighting that they're developing a friendship. When he then does report in, he reports that Naminé is missing and he can't seem to find a chamber that Sykes had him looking for. Sykes explains he sent everyone to Castle Oblivion he wanted to raise. Axel then playfully brings up the question of, well, did I want him, Sykes want him gone? Throughout the game, you'll kind of see moments of Axel and Sykes clearly having a history, but we'll come back to that point a little bit later. Roxas doesn't see Shion for 10 days and is worried about her. This is mostly because Shion can't use the Keyblade anymore and is worried about being turned into a Dusk. A Dusk is a very common nobody, a bit like one of the Shadows is a really common Heartless. We'll get to see more of them in Kingdom Hearts 2. Axel suggests that Shion and Roxas work together to cover up the fact that she can't use it anymore, and Roxas will just have to kill twice as many Heartless so no one realizes. This leads to a discussion about if having a heart is truly important, since the Keyblades will achieve the goal of the organization and get all the nobodies a heart of their own. Axel reveals that he has memories of his life as a human before he was a nobody, but Shion and Roxas don't. In fact, they are the only two nobodies in the organization who do not have past memory. We then cut to a glimpse of Diz and Naminé at the mansion in Twilight Town, which we'll see in Kingdom Hearts 2. Roxas and Shion, after a couple of days, can't seem to go on missions anymore together as Sykes for visit, so Roxas ends up lending her his Keyblade. Through the use of his one, she remembers how to use her own, so everyone has a little victory dance there. Okay, so at this stage we are a third of the way through the day. We are 100 days through. And Sykes asks Axel what's going on with Shion. In the end he kind of blows him off and says, no, nothing's going on, I'm not spying on them or anything. So Sykes ends up giving Axel a heads up, saying he's going to need to head back to Castle Oblivion to continue looking for that missing chamber. Sykes reveals that that's actually where Shion came from, and she could be traced back to Naminé from there. There are 2 chambers in the castle that are missing that no one has found yet. The Chamber of Repose and Awakening. The Awakening Chamber might hold clues for Xemnas' true agenda, or so Sykes believes. During this conversation we find out that Sykes wants to reach the top of the organization, and Axel actually killed 2 people at Castle Oblivion, which we saw in the game, so that Sykes will reach the top. Which is quite nice. That's, you know, really nice friendship there. Meanwhile, Xigbar tells Roxas that only special nobodies can join the organization. That's why not all the Dusks and common ones are there throughout the game. And he makes mention that Shion and Roxas are very special nobodies, but doesn't really seem to go into much detail there, just kind of adding a bit of foreshadowing of what's to come, I guess. Shion has some memories, then we cut to, of the sea and watching the sunset with someone, but then it goes back to story after that. So Axel hints that summer vacation is on the way, which becomes important for Kingdom Hearts 2. and tells Shion and Roxas he will soon be leaving again. This time he cannot tell them anything because it's a secret mission, which is a really big change from how he was treating Roxas before in terms of just telling him everything. Sykes comments to Axel that he's becoming way too attached to his two new friends, and there seems to just almost be a hint of betrayal there. A month later, when Axel returns, while Shion is hiding in her room, having lost to Riku and being called a sham on a mission when she was meant to dispose of him, Riku notices that she looks like Kairi and tells her that she should get out of the organization. They're just no good. Sykes regrets Shion and believes that she was a mistake. Shion is having some strange dreams, but she can't really seem to remember, but they leave her feeling really unhappy, just adding to this depression she's sinking into at the moment. Roxas actually thinks that she's upset with him because, you know, everything revolves around Roxas. Shion doesn't see Roxas for nearly 20 days, really cementing the view that she's unhappy with him in his mind. In the end, Shion falls into a deep slumber after failing yet another mission. Roxas then spends the next sort of 20 days covering for Shion, making sure to defeat Heaps Heartless. I'm not entirely sure why he's covering for her, as everybody knows she's asleep. Meanwhile, in Shion's dreams, she has a lot of Sora's memories going on.
Who are you?
And we cut to then Axel doing some research. Obviously looking into things that he's a little bit unhappy about at the moment. Starting to read a book called The Truth About Naminé, and this is by Vexen. At this stage, we're now finally reaching the 200 days mark. Naminé confesses that nobody is interfering with her work to fix Sora. Naminé hints that if Sora's memories become Shion's for good, she might not actually survive it. Shion ends up getting into a computer system and getting some information on Castle Oblivion. Axel is once again sent to Castle Oblivion. Shion sneaks off to the castle herself. She remembers the castle and being made there. She even remembers herself and Axel in the castle together, which kind of makes some things really interesting because we never see that in Chain of Memories, and obviously we don't see her as the person she is. It might be linked to Naminé, or just her dragging memories in from Sora about him and Axel's time together in the castle. And in the end, she just bolts and ends up going deeper into the castle before Axel can stop her. Axel returns to Roxas and doesn't tell him anything about Shion. Doesn't say where she is or anything like that. He kind of just keeps it a secret. Meanwhile, Shion is discovering she's not who she thinks she is. And Xemnas is telling everyone that Shion is indeed missing, but you can't look for her. Which kind of defeats a lot of what's going on there. But whatever, we can leave that be. In the end, when Roxas ends up going to Destiny Island, he thinks he saw Shion. Now, on Destiny Island we obviously have the actual Kairi there, and Shion is on the island. So it becomes really unclear at this stage on if Roxas saw Kairi or Shion, as he never actually got close enough to make the distinction between them. So we're unsure as to which one he saw. She is on the island, and she ends up with a memory of Riku facing Zexion, I think his name is pronounced, from Chain of Memories. You know, when he's confronted there and he's pretty much told this is all your fault. And Shion actually ends up changing forms several times. She changes to Riku, Roxas, back to herself, Sora. And in the end, the real Riku finds her on the island. We then flip back to Roxas, who is really unhappy with the idea that he can't look for Shion. And in the end, Axel actually helps to look for her. Despite the fact he kind of knows what's going on, he still kind of keeps that a secret, and he just kind of is trying to be supportive of his friend. Naminé then reveals that Sora's memories are escaping through Roxas into Shion, kind of absorbing them all. Without these memories, he's not going to be able to wake up, and if she does it wrong, like she takes the memories the wrong way or something goes wrong there, when he wakes up, no one will actually remember who he is. They'll have forgotten him. Shion was blank when she first started, but being around Roxas meant she started to take on Kairi's shape from Sora's memories. A large time skip, as I said, almost 300 days now, where Roxas and Shion, where Axel tells Roxas, that Shion is from Castle Oblivion. This prompts a trip to Castle Oblivion where Roxas collapses when he's overwhelmed by a rush of memories to his mind, but he forgets even being in the castle and wakes up later at Twilight Town with Axel. He dreamt of Riku and even shouts his name when he wakes up. Shion and the real Riku show up then, and Axel gets into a fight with Shion, knocking her out and taking her back to the organization. Sykes has a moment with Axel and calls him Lee, once again hinting at the friendship they've had, and obviously they knew each other before they were nobodies. But obviously something has happened in their past where, while they still are bonded together, they're just not the same friends that they used to be at one stage. And it's almost like maybe Sykes is abusing that connection. Roxas is quite mad at Axel for what he did, obviously. But Shion, for some reason, just holds no grudge. She is just happy to be back with her friends. Now, what really confuses me is she's obviously run away. But then Xemnas just kind of lets her go back to just doing her usual thing, because she could run away again at any moment. Kind of ignores that. So Xemnas himself is aware that Shion has Sora's memories and it will keep him from waking up. This is something that is really frustrating Diz, and saying that they need to take this matter more seriously rather than just toying around with it. Roxas, I already read that part. Here we go. Roxas is now having Sora memory-based dreams as he grows weaker, and Shion becomes stronger. Just using the Keyblade makes him really tired, and this worries Shion. She approaches Axel with her concern, but he reminds her that she's just a puppet, a replica. Excuse me. Xigbar is eavesdropping on this conversation. Xemnas desires Sora's power. This is one of the big underlining things that's going on in this game. He is unconcerned as whether it comes from Shion or Roxas, as long as that person is under his thumb. All that matters. A mission is actually set up where Shion and Roxas will fight each other, each believing the others to be heartless. Axel stops the fight, revealing the illusion for what it is. And in the end, Roxas suggests that they run away. But everyone very quickly dismisses this idea as it's not a possibility. Sykes reminds Axel they only need one person with Sora's power. This ends in a mission with Shion, Axel, and Xigbar together. Shion and Xigbar end up in a fight, where for a brief moment, Shion actually looks like Roxas, but not Roxas. His clothes are not quite right. He's got a weird shoulder armor thing, and this will come into later games. But at this stage, it's the face that really looks like Roxas. Xigbar hints at having fought a Keyblade wielder before, and that someone has given him the exact same glare before. In the end, Shion wins the fight and runs away. Axel just allows this to happen, promising that he will look after Roxas. Roxas and Axel then get into an argument when he returns, and Axel tells him the truth about Shion. Shion goes to Riku, and he sends her to Naminé. Ooh. Alright, we're nearly done. So, Xemnas reveals the remaining members who have not been a part of Castle Oblivion, so we've only got half the organization at this stage, that Shion is a part of the replica program, that she was not an actual person born, but in fact made. Axel was ordered to bring Shion back because he is the one that let her go. Roxas suggests this order should be ignored, but then finds out that Axel has actually been lying to him about a lot of things over the course of the game. A cutscene between Mickey and Riku reveal that Riku only looks like himself while he's blindfolded, obviously as he's struggling with the darkness within himself. And without it, he looks like Ansem. Riku says he's going to go and get Sora's memories back, and asks that Mickey look after and protect Sora if Riku dies or gives in to the darkness. And this will link into Kingdom Hearts 2, and why we don't see Riku for a very long time. Oops, spoiler. Roxas is worried that he is also a puppet now that he knows the truth about Shion. He demands that Axel tells him the truth about himself, and in the end, getting no answers, Roxas storms off looking for them, leaving the organization and Axel. Shion and Naminé meet. Naminé explains that giving back the memories will cause no one to remember her. Shion is okay with this. She's just kind of content. As long as Naminé promises to look after Roxas for her. At this stage, Axel has tracked Shion to the mansion. Axel warns Shion that she will be destroyed and ends up bringing her back. But obviously their fight that led to him bringing her back has left him quite badly hurt, and he passes out, and Xemnas ends up taking Shion. Now, I'm really confused at this point because she's run away twice now, and yet finds herself back at the clock tower. As if Xemnas has just let her go, after making sure she is okay. That just baffles me. If anything, she should have been caged, contained, destroyed, something. I don't know. Anyway, Shion ends up at the clock tower where Roxas is hiding because he has nowhere else to go after he ran off. She reveals that she now actually looks like Sora, and Shion tries to make Roxas a part of her, and as a result they fight. This big fight obviously ends with Roxas winning because it's one of the big fights for the end of the game, and Shion starts to fade. She ends up going to be a part of Sora, his memories returning to him. But as she fades, Roxas can find her fading in his memory, making him more sad and anguished. This then leads to a fight with Roxas and Riku in a showdown. Riku finds his own memories of Shion fading throughout the battle, which occasionally causes him to stagger, because obviously he did care about her, in the sense of it sucks to be her at this stage, and he got dealt a really bad hand in life, but at the same time he wants his best friend back. So in the end, Riku gives in to the darkness and knocks Roxas out, taking him back to Diz and Naminé. This is when we open to a very strange theme, which for us before we play Kingdom Hearts 2 makes no sense. Once we start playing Kingdom Hearts 2, it will make much more sense. Because Roxas actually wakes up in Twilight Town, saying he has only 7 days of summer left, as if he is a child on summer holidays. And this is where Kingdom Hearts 2 begins. One of the reasons I watched this rather than played this game is because the missions are super tedious. You have days at a time which are not plot relevant. It's more of just like a massive grinding montage to make sure you can get through the rest of the game. And that in itself is super boring. I do like actual Roxas and Shion's story for the fact that it just kind of shows another side to the organization that you don't get to see in Kingdom Hearts 2. In the fact that you can see Axel getting more and more attached to these two people. You can see that he's had previous attachment. And you can see Roxas struggling with the fact that he doesn't even know who he is. And we've got Shion, who is effectively just made to suck her friend dry, even though it was probably never intended they would become friends. But by being friends, that's probably how she got access to so much of Roxas's power so quickly. So yeah, this has been my explanation, so to speak, of what happens during Roxas's game. So next weekend we will have Kingdom Hearts 2 playing. I'm hoping to finish that game before Kingdom Hearts 3. So that way I'll have Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop and a Fragmented Past to play still while I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3. So it could be that I end up dropping one of my Pokemon days to have that as a 2-hour stream there of Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm going to see if I have the ability to start streaming now that my internet is significantly improved. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. So, on the screen now you can see me looking at my trophies and the fact that I pretty much have all the big boss trophies now. Now, I didn't actually realise there was another cutscene after you exit the Colosseum. So, in a moment, it will go to that cutscene because I did end up getting to record it. So, like, comment, subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. There will probably be one more explanation video later on for Recoded. So I'm not playing that game. That game is just as tedious as this one. And there's not a lot to say about that particular game. So this will be another watch me face some big bosses while I explain things moment. Alright, have a lovely day. Enjoy your Christmas. Hope you had a good one and a Happy New Year because this will be going up on the 30th. And I'll catch you all in the new year. Bye!